Hi friends, welcome to episode 4 of the Ginger Hook Knitting podcast. I don't have that many things to show you this time because I have been sticking to my yarn ban. I haven't purchased any new yarn even though I was very close to doing so. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I do have some finished objects and some works in progress that I would like to share with you. So first of all, the weather is super weird right now, so it might get like lighter and darker throughout the course of this video. Like there was a hailstorm 15 minutes ago. I don't know what's going on, but just so you know. And also this blanket I have back here, it's not really a blanket. It's kind of more like a large doily. I don't know what you would call this, an Afghan. This is something I crocheted in case anyone is interested. It's just like I don't know how many points it has. I think it has 16 points. It's like a 16-point star pattern thing. It's really easy to find on Ravelry and on Instagram and stuff. So just so we know, I decided to put that back there because I thought I should showcase it even though it's not done. I like tucked all the ends underneath so that you can see it on camera, but it's not done yet. I will eventually finish it. I only have like a couple more rows to do, but you know, the rows get longer and longer, and I lost momentum and now it's just there. You know, I thought, why not showcase it and put it to some use while I'm still working on it. So that's that. Anyway, I have a full finished sweater to show you today and I'm extremely happy about it. So let's start off with that. Last episode I mentioned I wanted to make the winter's pullover by Ozetta. I showed you the yarn that I wanted to use for it, which was rerum natura cyrano, which is the suggested yarn, in the exact same color that she also uses in the like sample, the pattern pictures, I guess. And I finished the entire sweater. So this is what it looks like. I might insert some pictures. I haven't taken any pictures of me wearing it yet, so I don't know if I actually will insert pictures. I'll try to, because the lighting has just been so off that I haven't been able to take any good pictures. So I might post some to Instagram once I manage to take some good pictures. I always procrastinate taking pictures of my projects. Anyway, this is it. I am extremely happy with this. First of all, let me give you the details. So this is the winter's pullover by Ozetta. I already mentioned the yarn. It's rerum natura cyrano, in the color poivre, pepper in French, and I knit this in a size 3. So usually I would have had to like knit a size 5 for my bust circumference. At least that's what was recommended for my bust circumference. This sweater does have a lot of positive ease though, and I didn't want it to be like that oversized. I think it has over 45. I think it has like 45 centimeters of positive ease, which is a lot. And even with like this, I think this probably has 20 or so, 20, maybe 25 or something centimeters of positive ease for me. And it's still definitely, it's like enough. It definitely is enough. It gives me like just what I'm like the fit that I'm looking for, which is a nice kind of relaxed and oversized comfy fit. So I don't think I would have ever chosen a bigger size for this. I used the recommended needles. My gauge was pretty much on point when I knit it. I don't think there's much more to say about the pattern and the yarn itself, but I did make some modifications. So the actual like construction and everything, I didn't make any modifications to that. Basically, I just made modifications to the lengths of everything, basically. So as you can see, the neck is not a turtleneck, it's just kind of like a mock neck. I'll put this on in a second so you can see what it looks like. But it's just a mock neck. I did want to kind of replicate the one of the Baba sweaters, which I mentioned in my last podcast episode. I will put a picture of that somewhere here. It has a very like thick folded neckline, and I wanted to do that as well because I really like the look of it. And I actually did do that. I had basically double the amount of this knitted, and then I folded it down and sewed it down, but it was just too bulky for my liking. I knew that if I was going to wear this in my apartment and just want to be like cozy in it inside, I think the like double folded neckband would have just been too much, and I would have been annoyed by it over time. If I was mainly wearing this like outside, I could definitely see how that could be useful to have like a thicker, you know, neckband, because it just keeps your neck nice and warm and you don't need to wear a scarf. But I work from home most of the time, and so I just made the choice to rip it back, make it half the length, and then just do a regular like tubular bind off. And I'm really happy that I did this because I think it looks great. It looks exactly the way that I wanted to, and it's perfect. The other thing that I changed was the overall length of the sweater. It's pretty long, and I knew I didn't want to make it that long. I have like a very certain length of sweater that I like. I don't remember if I talked about this in my last episode. Basically, I like it to hit like just before my hips kind of go out, so that it isn't tight around my hips, so that it's still like nice and loose. So usually like all of my sweaters are cropped, all of them pretty much. And for this one, this is also cropped. I guess you could call it cropped, and it has the perfect length. It's just like right like where my hips start going out. And I accidentally knit the body too long before starting the ribbing, so I didn't want to rip it back, so I had to knit the ribbing shorter than the pattern suggests, even though I wanted to stick to that. I wanted to knit the ribbing really like long, like it is in the pattern, but I ended up not doing that just because it was already getting too long, and I knew it was going to grow when I washed it. I'll talk about that in a second too. So I basically just bound off before I had reached the suggested ribbing length, which it's this long. It is still pretty long, I think, but it's definitely shorter than the pattern suggests. I think the pattern is almost close to, the pattern recommends close to like double the amount of this. So yeah, but I still really like the length overall of the sweater. And then I matched the ribbing on the sleeves to be the exact same length. I also knit the sleeves shorter, and then I did some more like rapid increases towards the end here. I originally also knit the sleeves too long. I don't know, I was like on a roll here, like just knitting stockinette in the round. I oftentimes accidentally knit it too long, and that's what happened with the sleeves here, because I was just like zoned out knitting in the round and they turned out like too long, and I was debating whether I should rip it back and do some more rapid increases and then do the ribbing or not. And I did end up doing that because I knew, as I said before, this yarn was going to grow. And I'm really glad that I knit the sleeves a tiny bit shorter than I would have liked, because once I washed and blocked the sweater, the sleeves, they're the perfect length now. So I don't think I would have wanted to make them any longer. They go like go up to like right here. So that's like the perfect sweater paw length. So that's the sleeves. Just so you're not confused about the like rapid decreases, I feel like I didn't explain that very well. The pattern has you do a bunch of decreases in a certain width apart, basically until a certain point, and then you knit straight if you haven't yet reached the length that the sleeves are supposed to be at. First of all, I accidentally picked up too many stitches on the sleeve here for the sleeve. I don't know how, like I did exactly what the pattern says, but I picked up I think 4 or 5 stitches more. So I already had more stitches, and I didn't want like the sleeve the cuff to be extremely wide. So first of all, I did less decreases. I had more stitches, so I knew I wanted to do something to decrease the amount of stitches before I start doing the ribbing so that I don't have a cuff that's like extremely wide. So that's what I just did. I think like 4 or so decreases every other round, and that got me to a pretty good size. So I'm really happy with this. And usually for the sleeves, I do a pretty tight tubular bind off because it cinches everything in a little bit more, since it was pretty wide, and the tubular bind off just kind of pulled everything in nicely. So yeah, now it looks like this. I really like how it turned out. It is already pilling like a tiny bit, you can see, but that's okay. Anyway, so let me just put this on for you so you can see what it looks like at least what the neckline looks like. So here it is on. You can see the neck has like the perfect height for me, at least. I don't like it to come up too high, and it is still pretty high up so that it's nice and warm around your neck, but it's not too tight. It's still like pretty loose and you have some breathing room in there. I say this pretty much every episode, but I'm really picky about like what my necklines look like and how they fit. I don't like it to like touch my neck too much. I just like lose my shit if I'm out and about and the sweater keeps riding up and like strangling my neck. I can't do it. So this sweater is perfect. I've had this on a couple of times when I went outside for a walk with my dog. I've had this on plenty of times inside, so I've been wearing it pretty much nonstop since finishing it. I think I finished it a couple of days ago. And it's perfect. Like, the yarn isn't too scratchy. It is pretty rustic, but it's not so much so that it's like annoying to me. I feel like compared to something like Shelter, for example, my aude sweater is knit in Shelter. I think that sometimes gets a little bit scratchy on my arms and on my neck, and I can't wear it for like an entire day. Like, I have to take it off because it just gets a little bit too scratchy for me. But this is fine for me. Like, I don't have any problems, any issues with this. Important thing that I forgot to mention is that I only used 7.5 balls of yarn. The size that I made, the third size, I think calls for 9 balls of yarn. I only bought 8. It was an accident, but I'm glad that I did, because I basically just cracked into the 8th ball of yarn and I didn't use it up completely. So if you're planning on making things a little bit more cropped, a little shorter than what the pattern says, then that's might be some interesting information for you. But yeah, I love it. I was worried because when I was knitting it, I tried it on a couple of times and it was in that stage where it just looked like ugly. I feel like drop shoulder sweaters, this happens a lot with drop shoulder sweaters, where you try them on and the sleeves aren't on yet and everything just looks like it just doesn't look good. And you're like, oh God, is this gonna turn out good? Is this gonna like look the way that I want it to? It's a very much a like trust the process kind of knit for me. Like, drop shoulder sweaters are like that for me almost every time. And the yarn, like the fabric, was feeling very rigid and not very drapey, and I knew it was going to be like a thicker, not very drapey sweater because the yarn is pretty thick. It's pretty bulky. So I knew that was going to be the case, but I was kind of annoyed in between because I was getting a little bit discouraged, but I decided to trust the process, and I'm glad that I did, because once I blocked it, everything changed basically. Even when I tried it on after, right after finishing it, I was like, this is still kind of like stiff and rigid, I don't know. So then I blocked it and let it soak for a good while and let it dry and everything. I did put it on the like spin cycle in the washing machine. So my washing machine has this like like program thing where it basically drains the water. It spins and then drains the water, so there's no extra water coming in or anything. It's just to get the water out of whatever is in there. So I did that. I do that sometimes to my knits. What is going on with the lighting? I can't, like, it's almost like as if someone's turning a light off and on again the entire time. I apologize. So I let it soak for a good long time and then put it in the washing machine on the spin cycle, blocked it. I didn't really do much other than I stretched the sleeves a little because I was worried that they wouldn't be long enough. And I could already feel, like, once I took it out of the washing machine, it felt so much softer and so much nicer than it did before. And then once everything had dried, the fabric was just so much less rigid, so much less stiff, much softer, much more drapey. And I was in love at that point. And I haven't taken it off since. So let me just show you the sleeve length. So usually if I have my hand down, it's like at this part of my hand, which is the perfect length for a nice, like, cozy sweater. I also said in my last episode that this was going to be more of like an outerwear piece for me, which it has been so far, since, you know, it's not super warm yet and I still do need like a sweater or a jacket when I'm out walking the dog. I have been wearing this and it's perfect. It's still like pretty breathable and I don't tend to overheat that much in this. Well, at least I haven't so far, except for right now. Because it's really warm in here. It's 21 degrees Celsius in here, which is too warm for me. Like, I just need like 20 degrees Celsius at the most, or else I will start like overheating and sweating and becoming a bitch. Anyway, so I need to take this off in a second. This is still really good for when I'm out and it's cold, but it's not too cold and it's a little bit windy, and you know, it's just a really nice sweater to wear out as an outerwear layer, I feel. And even if you wear a long sleeve t-shirt underneath this, I don't think it gets too warm. So I don't know, I'm just obsessed with it. I really recommend this pattern. It's very well written, it's very to the point, very simple. It's definitely, I would say, beginner friendly. I mean, there are some short rows in it, but I don't really think short rows are that big of a deal, because you're basically just knitting flat, and these short rows are really, really simple. So I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for a nice, like, oversized, cozy sweater. The Winter's Pullover by Ozetta. Okay, thankfully that sweater is off now. I'm sweating profusely. I have one more finished object to show you, which I will show you in a second. I did finish another object, which I don't have with me. It was the basic double rib beanie that I made for my dad in the rerum, natura, Juliet, in the color cinnamon. I already washed it, blocked it, gave it to my dad, so I forgot to take a picture, but it's pretty straightforward. I've shown you the other hat that I made using this pattern before, so yeah, that's what I finished also. There is another basic double rib beanie that I was working on. The striped one that I showed you last podcast, I'll talk about that in a second, because it's highly humiliating. But I will expose myself for the sake of entertaining you all. But first of all, let me show you my other actual finished object. This is the knitting badge neckerchief, I believe it's called. I don't remember the designer's name. I'm not sure. I will definitely write it here somewhere. I am obsessed with this. I've been wearing it a lot. That's why it looks kind of nasty. And I accidentally put it in the washing machine. And I realized it was in there with like my black t-shirts and stuff like that. Thankfully, I realized it 2 seconds after I had turned the washing machine on, but there was already a little bit of like laundry detergent on there. So now it's kind of like weird and needs to be like actually washed. So I will wash this, but I haven't done it yet. Anyway, this is the neckerchief. Hold on, let me hold it up. this is what it looks like. So I was inspired to knit one of these because I started watching Maria's podcast called Knitting in the Dark. She's made, I think, 2 or so of these, and I am in my Neckerchief era now. Like I watched Glass Onion and I was like, okay, I'm becoming a Neckerchief girly. I can't, I need one. I need one. It's like the perfect little accessory, you know, if your outfit is boring, if you're just wearing like a white t-shirt and like whatever jeans, you add a little Neckerchief to it. I mean, it just elevates things. It just brings your like whole outfit to the next level. And they're so like whimsical. I don't even know. I love a Neckerchief. I love a Neckerchief. What can I say? This is knit in lionbrand, actually. What's it called? Touch of Linen in the color terracotta, I think. I got this yarn. This is stash yarn. So I've been using stash yarn, very proud of myself. This is stash yarn that I bought when I was living in the US. I bought it at Joann, and I have this in like 3 different colors, and I originally made coasters out of it, which I still have, I still love. I crocheted them. But I still had a lot of this yarn left, so I knew I wanted to make this pattern, and I was just rummaging around in my stash and decided I would just make it with this. I would have actually preferred to make this in a slightly lighter yarn. This is, I think, I guess you could say a worsted weight, but I still really love it, and I've been wearing it a lot. And yeah, I think it's, even though the yarn is a little bit heavier than I would have liked, the fact that there are these like rows with the yarn, these are just like double yarn overs. Oh, I forgot to mention the pattern is free, by the way. These are just double yarn overs that you drop in the next row, and that makes things a lot like less bulky. There's just a lot less fabric, so you can comfortably like roll it up and then just tie it around like that. So yeah, I love this. I will definitely be making another one, probably in a little bit of a lighter yarn, as I said. I love the color. The yarn's also great. Like, I don't have anything bad to say about this yarn. It's really just, it's a great yarn. It's very breathable. It's very light. It is a little bit like, how do you say it? Like dusty? I don't know. Like if I'm wearing a linen top or linen dress or something, and I have this on top of it, like the fibers are like, the fibers get onto it and then they kind of like stick to the fabric. And especially if you're like holding this thing, moving it around, it's like there's a lot of fibers that fly off of it. So that's what I'm trying to say. You can probably see the dust flying around here. So that's that. Very happy with this. I do plan on making more neckerchiefs in the near future, probably with like maybe some knitting for olive silk or the knitting for olive cotton merino. I'm going like full balls to the wall with the neckerchief thing, so you will be seeing more neckerchiefs from me in the future. But so far I just have this one and I'm extremely happy with it. Highly recommend this pattern. It's really fun. It only takes like 2 days to knit as well. Forgot to mention that I used a 4mm needle to knit this. Worsted weight yarn, and I think, I mean, the touch of linen comes, I think, in 100-gram balls, and I didn't use up all of it. I think I used probably like, I had already used some of it, so I want to say less than 50 grams. I'm not sure, but this doesn't use up a lot of yarn, so it's like perfect if you have like half a ball of yarn laying around or something. Yeah, I really love this thing. So before we move on to my works in progress, let me tell you the tale of my striped basic double rib beanie for a second. It was a disaster. It was humiliating, embarrassing. It kind of set me back. It aged me 3 years in the process. It was horrible. So I finished the beanie. I loved the fabric that the yarns made, which was Kama Rose midnattsole, and which is an alpaca, like a lace weight alpaca, and rerum natura ulisse. Use those two together. The stripe that I put in was scraps that I had from my Sophie shawl, which was knitting for Olive heavy merino. And I loved how it was turning out. I loved how the fabric was turning out. And I finished it, and I mentioned when I started this hat that I accidentally made it in the largest size instead of the second size, which usually would be fine because I have a ginormous noggin, and I usually need to make the largest size, or not necessarily the largest, but at least like the second largest size when it comes to hats. So I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna fit me either way, like it'll be fine. So I finished the hat, and then I wore it a couple of times. I was really excited to wear it, and it was too loose. It was just too big. Like, it wasn't tight enough to actually keep my ears warm, and my ears get really cold really fast. So it wasn't doing what it needed to do. And I was like, okay, what can I do to fix this? I thought about gifting it to someone, but like, who do I know has a bigger head than me? That's like just my dad, and he doesn't want to wear that hat. And so I literally don't know anyone else who has a bigger head than me, who has like the same head size as my dad. So I was like, okay, well, what are my options here? I really want to wear this hat, or I could gift it to someone, but it's just too big. So I thought, why don't I try to felt it? I shouldn't have done that. I've never felt it before. So that tells you all about what's about to happen here. I Googled felting to see how to do it and what to keep in mind and everything. I was like, how hard can it be? So I started off like on a really low temperature. Well, it wasn't really low. It was like 40 degrees. And usually when you're felting, they suggest like 60 degrees Celsius, in the washing machine. So I was like, okay, let me just do 40 first, because then if something goes wrong, like I can still take it out at any point. And I kept my eye on it, and I wanted to, before I went full felt 60 degrees mode, I was like, okay, let me do this first. Put it in there for about 20 minutes or 15 minutes or something, and it was done, and nothing had changed. It still looked exactly the same. It didn't look a single bit smaller. It didn't look felted at all. So I was like, okay, well, I need to up my temperature. So I decided to do 60 degrees for like 15 to 20 minutes. And put it in there, kept an eye on it. Everything looked fine. I just noticed that a lot of fiber was flying around in my washing machine. And then the washing machine was done. I got it out of there. It was felted. It was felted all right. You know that episode of That's So Raven where she goes to the store and buys that one blouse but leaves the tag on because she only wants to wear it one time so that, she can return it after because it's super expensive. And then she like puts it in the dryer or something and it comes out and it's like this big. Yeah, it was kind of like that. So I got it out and it was like this big. Just for shits and giggles, I decided to put it on my head because I actually thought it was pretty funny. So I folded up the brim and I put it on my head. I stretched it over my giant head and it like went up to here. I didn't take any pictures of it. After I had gotten it out of the washing machine and had noticed what had happened, I put it on my head, laughed for a bit, went directly to the trash and threw it in there. And that's where it is still. I've taken out the trash since, so it's, I don't know where, but it's gone basically, which is kind of sad because I really like the yarn. I really liked how it felt and I really liked the pattern and everything, and I liked the stripes. I liked everything about it and I was really excited to wear it, but I learned from my mistakes. Not only that, but when I took it out of the washing machine, I noticed that my entire washing machine was clogged with alpaca fiber. The hat itself was still extremely fluffy, and I was like, where is all this like fiber coming from? I don't know if like the actual thread had completely disintegrated or something, but my entire washing machine was clogged. So I had to like clean out all of the alpaca fibers. Not only that, but my washing machine is in my bathroom, and the washing machine like drainage is connected to my sink. So not only was my washing machine clogged like on the inside, but my entire sink was clogged. So I had to go out to the hardware store to get one of those little like drainy, like snake clean things. They didn't have that. I had to go to the next store. It was all of that for one hat. I managed to unclog my sink. Everything's fine. My washing machine is still working, you know, all of that. But it was an experience, to say the least. It was an experience, and I will not be doing that again. So if I do ever decide to felt again, I will definitely not use alpaca yarn. I'll just use straight up wool, as you're probably supposed to. And make a pattern that's actually meant to be felted. You know, there are patterns out there specifically for that purpose. And I just ignored that completely. I was like, yeah, I mean, what could go wrong? Literally everything could go wrong. Everything went wrong. So that's the story. That's the tale of my, my striped beanie. RIP in peace. Okay. Works in progress now. So I have been knitting pretty monogamously lately, actually. A lot of the projects that I started that I showed you, I think last episode, like my sock and everything, I haven't been knitting on that stuff just because I have been more interested in just knitting one thing and getting that thing done and then starting the next thing. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been knitting only on two things, which was, well, I did like crank out the beanie for my dad in like a couple of days because I really wanted just to get that finished. But besides that, I've been just working on my winter's pullover, which I finished, and my ashfork vest, which I showed you as a work in progress in my last podcast episode. And I'm going to show you that again now. It's not finished, and I actually thought I would finish this before the winter's pullover, but I was just so invested in finishing the winter's pullover because I really wanted to wear it before it got too warm. And with this vest, you know, this is something that I can wear throughout spring. So this is what it looks like so far. Thinking about how to show you this without showing you my sweaty t-shirt. Basically, this is really hard to show. It was already hard to show the last time that I showed you guys this, but you can kind of see it, right? It's just, it's a vest. Maybe if I show you guys what one half of it looks like so you can get an idea. So this is the front of it. This is the sleeve hole. The armhole, sorry, there's no sleeves, it's a vest. This is what it looks like. I really love like the I-cord detailing and the garter edges, love those. The back just looks like this. There's just like reverse stockinette and stockinette panels all over. As I said last podcast, this was actually meant to have like these faux cables on it, but I don't like the look of those, so I decided to just leave them out and just do like the stockinette and reverse stockinette panels all over. I've already done 2 buttonholes. This is a disaster. Showing you guys this it's a nightmare. Hold on. Okay, so there's one buttonhole and here's another buttonhole. And now I just need to do one more buttonhole and then move on to the ribbing. So I still have a ways to go here. Basically, I want to have like the same distance between the next buttonhole and then start the ribbing, or do the buttonhole shortly. No, wait, that wouldn't work. Just forget what I just said. Buttonhole. I still have to do one, basically. It's a very interesting construction, and I really enjoyed working on this because it was kind of like not what I was used to doing. It was a very, you know, interesting way of picking up stitches. Like you can see kind of like the cast on edge here. basically you just like picked up stitches on like the purl bumps. So that was something I'd never done before, which I thought was really cool. And also like the I-cord edging here all over, that it kind of flows into itself and everything. I think this just looks really, this is just really well designed in my opinion. It looks very professional and the pattern feels very professional, which I find is always the case for Brooklyn tweed patterns. They're always really long and they go into a lot of detail and have like a lot of interesting techniques and stuff. And so I really enjoy knitting Brooklyn tweed patterns. I think I've knit, this is like my, I think my third one that I've knit so far. But yeah, so this is that. I'm just, you know, working away at this. I've been, I picked this up again a couple of days ago after I finished my winter's pullover, and I've been working on that since. So this is what I work on pretty much every single day. And yeah, this should be done probably like in a week or two, I hope. I really want to wear this, so I'm excited to have this finished. I forgot to mention the yarn again. The yarn is Brooklyn Tweed Dapple in the color Black Walnut. So this is that. So I only have one more work in progress to show you. I only have 2 works in progress right now. Like not counting the hibernating ones right now, like my sock and my favorite sweater, which is an ongoing thing. Basically only 2 that I'm actively working on right now. So I actually only started this yesterday evening. So this is going to become an October sweater by petiteknit, but I'm going to modify it a bit. The yarn I'm using is Rico. It has like a really long name. It's like Fashion Cotton Light and Long Tweed or something like that. I think that's actually what it's called, but I don't remember what the color is. I will definitely write it down below. I've had this yarn for probably like over 2 years now, and I have started probably at least 6 different projects with this, because I was originally intending to use it for something that I found in a magazine, and then I kind of like was like, okay, let me just make a vest, let me make a sweater, let me do this, whatever. Like I actually finished an entire back panel of a sweater with this yarn until I was like, yeah, you know, I don't feel like doing a bottom-up sweater. So I just started something else. So I'm pretty sure I think I have like 8 balls of this yarn. I'm pretty sure I have cracked into every single ball of it, and I have like 3 projects still that I haven't unraveled with this yarn. So there's been a lot of, you know, it's been a journey with this yarn. So I finally decided to see a project through with this yarn because I really like the yarn. It's a I think it's mainly cotton, and then it has like some acrylic and some viscose and whatever. I don't really buy like synthetic fibers anymore. I just prefer to use natural fibers. But I had bought this, yeah, 2 years ago, and I think at that point I was still buying like synthetic yarns. So I mean, this is pretty much, it is, the majority I think is cotton, but anyway, so it's marketed as a like a summery, like really light yarn, which it is. It's very light. There's a lot of yardage in here because the yarn is so light and fluffy. It's a DK weight. It's kind of like tonal, I guess. It's hard to describe. Like it has some like lighter bits and some darker bits. You can kind of see the like gradient that it has better with the yarns that are a different color. This is just like the cream colored version, and so you can't really see a gradient that well, but it does have like little tweed flecks in there, which I really like. I don't know, I just think it looks really cool. So I've been meaning to start something with this yarn for a while now, and since it's getting a little bit warmer, I decided I would start knitting spring and summer garments earlier this year, because last year I didn't knit any spring or summer garments. I wasn't knitting at all during the spring and summer. So I wanted to change that this year. I wanted to knit some really nice like summery tops and kind of really light, airy sweaters, you know, for some colder like evenings in the spring and summer. And so I decided to finally cast something on. Well, I mean, I've cast several things on with this, but actually stick to something. And I hope I will actually do that, because if there's one thing I'm going to do, it's change my mind. Like, I will not hesitate. I will cast on like 50 different things, and I will change my mind every single time. I will unravel things. I have no hesitation when it comes to that. So I can't trust myself to see this through, but I really hope I do, because I think recording this and mentioning it in my podcast will hold me accountable, kind of. And I really hope that I do what I'm wanting to do with this. So as you can see, let me show you a little bit what it looks like when it's knit up. So you see the little tweed flecks here. This yarn also, if you're looking to use this yarn, looks really great with cables. The back panel of the sweater I was talking about, that I had already knit with this, had like cables on it. It looks really great with cables. So I would definitely recommend that if you're looking to knit something like lighter and summery with cables. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. I am knitting a smaller size with this. I also went up half a needle size. This is a 4.5 instead of a 4. Which I think is for the October sweater, that's the recommended needle size. I wanted this to be a bit of a looser gauge, so I went up half a needle size, and I'm going to knit it smaller, so with less positive ease, and change the ribbing a little bit. There's 2x2 ribbing, and I wanted to do 3x2. So I have been super obsessed with 3x2 ribbing ever since I got more into Kim Hargreaves patterns, or bought like some of her like pattern booklets. And I just think it looks really great. It looks really clean, and I just really like the look of it. So that's what I wanted to do for this. And I want to do a split hem, have it pretty cropped, smaller. So you'll see, I have a vision in my head that I think this is gonna look good. So there's not really much that could go wrong really with like a top-down raglan like this. It does have like some flat neck shaping as well, which I'm a huge fan of. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm increasing for the neck using my C-knit needles as well, which I don't really like that much, but for this yarn I think it's actually pretty good, because this yarn gets kind of like squeaky sometimes, which is really annoying, but it's fine. So yeah, gonna knit away on this. I don't think it should take me that long to finish it, honestly, because this yarn knits up really nicely and it's at a pretty loose gauge, so we'll see. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't have anything else to show you. As I said, I have been sticking to my yarn ban. I haven't purchased any yarn, even though I was pretty close to doing so. I really wanted to purchase some linen yarn from Sandnesgarn, because first of all, they have a new color, which is 100%, it's like it was made for me. It's like this lime green, lime colored yarn. Perfect color, and it's new. And I was like, oh, I should really get this before it sells out, because people are probably going to want to buy this. And then I was like, you will have enough opportunities to buy this yarn. Like, I'm trying so hard to de-influence myself. It's hard. It's a full-time job, honestly. Like, I'm constantly having to tell myself, you don't need this. It's fine. Just enjoy the things you have right now. Enjoy the projects you're working on. It's a struggle. But I really want to make this vest summer top type thing. It's in my queue. It has like a wave pattern, like a lace wavy pattern on it. It's perfect. It looks absolutely perfect, and I need it for summer, and that's definitely probably the next thing I'm going to cast on after I finish what I'm doing right now. So yeah, I didn't buy anything for that. I will actually, I'll purchase it once I finish at least one of the projects I have going on right now. I was contemplating casting on, instead of like the October sweater, I was planning on casting on the good willow pullover. I never know if it's called pullover or sweater, because some designers, you know, call it sweater, some call it pullover, some call it jumper, you know. Anyway, it's called the good willow sweater pullover. And it's by Allison, who is Intentional Knits, here on YouTube as well and on Instagram. And as soon as I saw the pattern, I immediately fell in love with it. It's like right up my alley. It's perfect. It has cables, it has color work. It's the perfect sweater basically. And I am 100% going to knit that sweater, and I'm going to knit it in my rerum natura Ulisse that I had a couple episodes back originally planned to make an RO sweater in, which I ended up not doing, the infamous poop sweater, because it's poop colored. Yeah. So that's what I want to make with that yarn. I bought a contrast color to do the color work with as well. And I'm definitely going to make that, if not now, then as soon as it starts getting colder, like in the fall. I think that will probably be like the first wool sweater that I will cast on as soon as it gets colder again. I'm really excited for that, and I wanted to cast it on. I was contemplating it, but then I was like, I should really start knitting more spring, summer things, because if I don't start now, like, I will probably regret it, because then it will be too hot and I'll have like unfinished projects laying around, and I won't be able to wear, you know, the summer knits that I knit, you know. So I decided to be smart, plan ahead. You know, if it depends. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna cast it on now, but it depends on how fast I get my October sweater done. If I somehow finish that in like a month or two, I might actually cast on the good willow, because it's just so gorgeous. I love it so much. So we'll see. That's definitely planned. So that is something I have planned out. I'm not going to change my mind on that, even though I have changed my mind on what I'm going to do with that yarn like 50 times. But that is definitely what I'm going to do with it, the good willow. That I need that sweater. I really want it. It's gorgeous. And I also wanted to cast on a hat, a beanie, because I accidentally bought too much of the contrast color for the good willow, because I originally had something else with it planned. This is what I'm talking about. So I have 2 balls of yarn of the contrast color, and I only need like less than half a ball of it for the sweater. So I thought I could make a beanie out of the rest of the contrast color yarn. But it's not worth it right now, because it's already like warm enough that I am not wearing beanies when I go for a walk in the morning anymore. It's just not cold enough anymore, and so there's really no use in me making a beanie now. I can still do that, you know, once it starts getting colder again. So yeah, that's the plan for now. So I think I'm gonna go now. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable, even though I didn't have that much stuff to show. Let me know if you guys have started your spring summer knits already. It'd be really interesting to know, because I'm someone, I previously have not really planned that stuff, and then I just started way too late, and then I regretted it. So now I'm trying to do that differently. Let me know if you guys have started doing that. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode, hopefully with some more fun finished objects. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.